Just recently, I saw a post on my Facebook wall from a guy talking about Jessie Nelson, a young singer from the pop band Little Mix. Now, on this post, this guy was writing about the grief and the criticism and the derision that Jessie encounters because she is apparently, by today's pop standards, deemed to be overweight. She is quote unquote the fat one in the band. Now, on this thread, there was an awful lot of support for the defence of Jessie, but unsurprisingly, there was the usual tirade of criticism, of mocking, and bullying that we seem to get so much on social media. There were people picking on physical characteristics. They were talking about Jessie's legs, about her breasts, and one comment that stood out to me in particular, which was a comment somebody made. They thought it was acceptable to talk about her having a face like a pig. Now, I don't know anything about Little Mix, I'm not familiar with their songs at all, but this isn't about their songs. This is about the fact that here we have a young woman, we have a young woman with a family, and we have a young woman who is a role model for many teenage girls, and I'm sure a good number of teenage boys as well. Young people who look up to people like Jessie as being an idol and somebody that they can aspire to be like. And yet, what happens is instead of having this positive role model, they are constantly bombarded not only with social media bullying, but also with the constant stream of celebrity magazines and celebrity TV that can pick on these characteristics and can mock them and make them seem more important than they really are. There is so much more focus on things like body shape, about having a perfect six pack, about having the right haircut or the right clothes to wear. You compare the amount of attention given to those things with the amount of attention given to how well somebody can sing, and there is a real imbalance there. Only this weekend, I was watching one of the MTV channels, and they were running a program called 21 Women with Bodies to Die For. Here's an idea. How about we have a show on there called 21 Women with Voices to Die For? Or even better than that, let's just call it 21 Voices to Die For and get the focus back on where it should be. Now, it doesn't surprise me that we are where we are because for the last 15 years, maybe 20 years, we have had a constant stream of TV talent shows, things like The X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, American Idol, The Voice, the list goes on and on. Now, I don't watch any of those shows anymore, but when they first became popular, I did used to watch a number of them, and one particular audition really sticks in my mind. And it was an audition on Britain's Got Talent when a woman walked out on stage, clearly very nervous, very intimidated, very much out of her comfort zone. Now, initially, the panel, headed up by Simon Cowell, didn't know what to make of this woman, but we now know that that woman turned out to be Susan Boyle, and she won over the whole building with a fantastic rendition of a song from Les Miserables. But if you go back and you look at that footage, you'll see that the initial reaction to her walking out on stage was the audience pointing at her, the audience laughing at her, the audience leaning over to the person next to them as if to say, who is this woman? What is she doing on that stage? What can she possibly give to my life that is of any worth? Now, because of her remarkable voice, she turned that around in 5 minutes flat and became a national treasure overnight. But my point is that no singer, no performer, no artist should have to break down those barriers in order for their voice to be heard. When we look back through the history of pop music or rock music, it is thankfully full of people who didn't fit that mould of being, quote unquote, the perfect pop star or the perfect rock star. If we just think about female artists, for example, and we think about people like Alison Moyet, like Patti Smith, like Suzanne Vega, like Mama Cass, we can go on and on and on and list these people who broke that mould, that mould that we all now seem to be so slavish towards, and that mould that seems to dictate whether or not somebody can be successful. I think what I would like to say is actually that mould doesn't matter. Because do you know what? When these people are dead and gone, and we pick up their albums in HMV or we download their greatest hits, we're not going to be looking at their figure or their clothes or their haircut or whether they can walk in impossibly high heeled shoes. None of that stuff actually matters. Everybody's looks will go one day. Yeah, I don't care who you are. You can be in Little Mix, you can be a Spice Girl, you can be Debbie Harry. I don't care who it is. Pick anybody you want. The passing of time will mean that those looks will fade away. But those songs, those lyrics, those melodies, those harmonies, they will stay with us forever. They're eternal, and they're the things that matter. So to people like Jessie and to all the other young people out there who might be looking to carve out a career in the music industry, I say more power to you. You go out there and you do it and you prove you can do it, but have your focus in the right area. Work on your voice, work on your lyrics, work on becoming an absolute expert at your instrument, and work on feeling it and communicating it to all of us, because that's the stuff that matters. And to those people that still think it's okay to go onto Facebook or onto Twitter and come up with the comments that I mentioned earlier, you really need to get over yourselves, because do you know what? You're a bully. That's all there is to it. And there's nothing clever in being any sort of bully, but even worse than that, you're the worst kind of bully because you're not even doing it to somebody's face. You're hiding behind a keyboard when you do it. And to me, that makes you not only a bully, it makes you cowardly and pathetic as well. So here's to the music, and here's to the lyrics, and here's to the singers, regardless of what they look like. I salute you.